Delighted to have this slot, and I hope I can entertain you a little bit at 2:45 on day 2. I'm Nicholas Minter-Green, and I'm the president of Economist Films. For those who don't know about Economist Films, we are the editorial, video and production arm of the Economist newspaper. We were set up as a startup 2 years ago outside the building to see if the Economist could finally tackle video in a serious way, and now we are part of the editorial setup of the Economist newspaper and running the whole video output for the Economist. So please check us out. I thought today I'm going to be speaking about VR as a tool for immersive learning, or another way to put it, to turn this into this. All right. So first of all, just a little bit of background on The Economist for people who may be not aware. The Economist was founded in 1843, so we're a new business. We were founded by James Wilson, originally to contest the Corn Laws, a very contemporary topic, obviously. Since then, we believe we represent some of the world's most editorially independent, informed, intelligent journalism. And we're also known for a few of our covers as well, like this one and last week's, which is one of my particular favourites. Don't know if anyone's come across that one. We are quite popular with the rich, famous and well-known, but we call our demographic the globally intellectually curious. People all around the world who are interested in new ideas, progress, thinking in the world from a global perspective, which is potentially in the world of Donald Trump and Brexit Britain is a good mission to be on. Our editor, first time, a woman, brilliant, Zanny Minton-Beddoes, completely committed to Economist as a digital future and multimedia. Come a long way since 1843. We're now very much multi-platform, 1.2 million subscribers to the magazine, about 500,000 subscribers to our digital edition. We're the third most followed magazine owner on social media, and we have a daily app with about 200,000 paying subscribers called Espresso. And now, Economist has entered the magical world of VR. Our VR app, the Economist VR app, hit the Apple Store, I think in the last 2 weeks only. So this is quite sort of fresh. And we initially had 3 pieces of content online, and there's 3 pieces of content available on the app now. I'm just going to talk you through what they are. So the first is a video captured piece of virtual reality called Passport Osaka, and it's a 360-degree documentary that acts as a companion piece to the Osaka episode of Passport, which is a series of films we made, a travel series. The film takes the participant to a fish market, tattoo studio, Sento bathhouse, and a walk through the city centre at night. And we call it a virtual reality tour for the intellectually and culturally curious. So I think there's going to be 5 sort of rules to immersive learning I'm going to throw out there. They're not rocket science, but they're just my feelings about this when it comes to content creation particularly. So rule 1 is taking the viewer on a journey. Tell a story. We could have just walked around Osaka with 360 cameras and just allowed the participant to have a sort of sensory, transportative experience. But actually with scripting and structure, we turn this into something different and I think fully immersive for the participant. Actually, our first project, now if anyone was around yesterday, my colleague Ron from New York, who runs the new product development side of The Economist, had worked on this project. I want to spend a minute talking about this. So this is a Recover Mosul, where we use virtual reality and crowdsource imagery to reconstruct destroyed artifacts from the Mosul Museum. Some of you may know that in February 2015, ISIS, they posted a video online showing destruction of antiquities in and around the city of Mosul in northern Iraq. Statues and artifacts from the Mosul Museum were smashed, ruined, and ruins around the city were broken up using hammers and pneumatic drills in the most hideous kind of expression of cultural terrorism. So the Economist collaborated with RecRe, a non-profit group who used to be called Project Mosul, to recreate the museum and many of the lost artifacts and explain why they matter and examine how they were virtually reconstructed. And the result is Recover Mosul. It was first shown at International Documentary Film Festival in Amsterdam, and there's also been experiential display spaces where you can go and experience it and print off artifacts in 3D printing, which I think is quite interesting. So for me, this encapsulates a lot of the ideas behind immersive learning, because not only is the participant on a cultural and educational experience, but it's also in itself preserving the interaction of these artifacts in a first-person way. So what other learning experience can really do that? So that, in a way, brings me to key point 2, which is using VR to immerse ourselves into the otherwise inaccessible. So this isn't just about geographic inaccessibility or cost inaccessibility, but it's destroyed. So the recreation of it creates a very powerful educational experience. The third piece of content on the Economist VR app is called Oceans VR Net Positive. Different, once again, CG created, and it makes the case for limiting fishing on the high seas by giving a new perspective on this issue, putting you directly in the line of action, navigating the ocean sometimes as a fish and sometimes as a fisherman. And Oceans VR Net Positive debuted at the New York Film Festival in October of this year, just this month. And again, so my next point is we don't have to dumb it down. This is a classic Economist territory, trying to explain this debate. So we can use the VR's immersive experience to get across quite nuanced issues. So it isn't just necessarily the thrill ride. Again, we've all tried headsets, we've all been in probably a lot of ocean experiences, where once you've kind of looked around and got the feel of where you are, well then, what's next? So I think this is an example of don't shy away from the nuance and the complex in your content. So why does this all matter? Why should we care? Well, this guy, Michael Bodeker, who some of you might have seen his TED Talk, he's committed to making quality science education more accessible using technology. And he has a real idea and passion that this is going to revolutionize the way we learn and teach science in schools. He's the founder of Labster, which teaches life sciences through gamified education in immersive 3D virtual worlds and laboratories. So the reason I sort of put him up is because they did an interesting study where they got a group of student scientists. One group had teacher learning experiences and one had immersive learning. And they tested them before and after and found that the group with immersive learning showed a 76% increase in learning effectiveness. And this actually went up to 100% when they combined teacher-led instruction with immersive. So, I mean, that's quite an overwhelming results from that study. He believes the technology is developing quickly and immersive education is happening, but he does raise one sort of possible red flag, and that's will the teachers become the blockers or the enablers? So they own the classroom, the schools, whether it's students, universities, whether it's schools. So I guess this is my next key point. Number 4 is it's about selling to the congregation, not the choir. Again, when we're all here in this immersive environment, at Congress Summit, we all kind of think we're all on the same journey, this passionate journey to help create this market and to drive it forward. But actually, it can be quite worrying and threatening to a teacher who's just got used to an electronic whiteboard. So again, we need to bring those people on the journey with us. Okay, so The Economist in VR, what's next? Well, I don't actually have an answer beyond the 3 pieces of content that are available already. We're going to have to track the performance of the app, see how that goes. And like everyone else, sources of funding are challenging. But I think the opportunities are really interesting. So I've just had a little think, and this isn't approved Economist strategy, so this isn't one to quote as Bible, but some of my ideas that we could, where The Economist and immersive learning could continue its journey together. So take data, for example, and economic ideas and indices. Pretty boring, this table. This is the Big Mac Index, which is a really popular piece of data that the Economist has been running, but it's not a very engaging way to represent it. The Big Mac Index is an informal way of measuring purchasing power parity, PPP, for those who've done economics, between 2 currencies, and provides a test of the extent in which market exchange rates result in goods costing the same in different countries. So I just imagine what this could be like as a 360 experience with giant Big Macs in all different sizes. It could be 360, it could be fully immersive. So I love the idea of using data to take it off this flat, very dry surface and bring it to life. The other thing we're famous for is Economist Explainers, really serious subjects like the link between avocados and crime, which again, classic Economist territory to find a sort of obscure way into a subject. Again, I see the potential of using the Economist Explainer to adapt it to an immersive environment, and I think we can look out for those coming in the future. The third way I think we could take this forward, this is a film series we created called FutureWorks, where I think almost 10 million people have watched this across our channels so far, this series. This particular film was called Bodybuilders, which was about bionic engineers and they're using biotechnology to completely transform people's lives through this technology. So I think narrative-driven documentary is another way we can learn immersively in this space. Imagine the possibility in 360 or fully interactive experience which immerses the student into a world of the bionics practitioner or the bionics subject. So that's kind of just some ideas of where we could go with The Economist. For the sort of time remaining really on, I just wanted to pull out a few things that I've come across that I think look really interesting and exciting in this space from different companies and projects. Lecture VR is an app by Immersive VR Education, which simulates a lecture hall in virtual reality. They add special effects, which can be to utilize their traditional classroom setting. Lectures are accompanied by images, videos, and immersive experiences. So some of you may have come across the Apollo 11 project they've worked on, where they transform the classroom into the space shuttle around them. So, and I think that what they say is the major asset of this type of learning is that students and professors can also remote in from anywhere in the world. So it makes education really much more accessible on a global level. So accessibility, so not just the fact that that students are having this fully immersive experience, but the way it can plug into different people, teachers and students around the world, I think is really exciting. This is Immersive. It's a VR learning platform which releases educational content currently only on a monthly basis. Their content are things like Explore the International Space Centre, Anatomy VR, and learning about Stonehenge in virtual reality. And they point to the diversity in their content, which they think shows the true potential of VR in education. Now, I know this is the VR track, but I did want to kind of touch upon a bit of AR as well in this space. And I just love this image of this student with this sort of butterfly coming up from the screen. And there was lots of images I could have picked. And this is a business called ZSpace. And they have monitors which are similar to the way 3D movies work, where people wear glasses and content, as you see, comes off the screen. The user uses a pen, which they can manipulate the content as it comes out at them. And ZSpace currently have content available for STEM education, medical training, general maths and science experiences. And I think something that's worth noting here is they're a sort of all-in-one solution. So a lot of the challenges about this stuff is joining up the dots between the content, the distribution, the equipment, the training of the teachers. This is a kind of ball-in-the-bag solution, creating labs environments with everything you need to run interactive sessions. So I think that's quite interesting. This is stuff from Eon Creator, an interactive tool that allows its users to combine 3D content with videos, sound effects, PowerPoints. There's also an Eon Coliseum. So to come back to this sort of access point, students and teachers can meet virtually, which makes collaboration possible at any time from any location. And also Google are heavily invested in this space of immersive learning. The purpose of the Google's program is expeditions team. They visit schools around the world and provide teachers with everything they need to take their students on a journey anywhere. The team assists the teachers in setup and utilizing the technology, and the VR experiences are meant to be like just really cool stuff. So again, visit an underwater coral reef, take the kids to Barcelona. I've got a quote from a woman called Professor Shaylee Minocha, who's from the Open University Initiative, and she just said that they found that it really promotes inquiry-based learning, this technology. And when students have had a 360-degree experience, the questions they ask tend to be much more analytical and high-order questions. Although the process getting there is very fun, and that was kind of my last golden rule, which it's got to be like any educational experience, it's got to be fun. And I think Google are kind of plugging into the fun side of it, but you can see that it's actually leading to some very kind of analytical results. This is the Daiquiri Smart Helmet, which I don't know if has anyone seen this? I don't know. Yeah, you've seen it? I just put it on because it just looks like something out of Buck Rogers. And again, it's more of an AR-driven solution, but it's another thing that you could be adapted for the immersive learning experience. I just wanted to make sure you didn't confuse it with this Daiquiri Helmet, which is something slightly different. There you go. It's 2:45. I wanted to see if you were noticing. And sort of to come full circle a little bit, I'm not sure how I'm doing for time, but this was an article that The Economist has recently wrote called China Leads the World in the Adoption of Virtual Reality. So where else? China, again, upcoming market of force in VR. I just wanted to touch on a company called NetDragon, which is a Chinese software firm that attracted attention when it acquired Promethean World, an online education outfit, for over $100 million last year. And it's testing VR software and hardware that can be used in mainland China. One idea they're working on, which I think is fascinating, is that headsets could tell when children are tilting their heads, indicating boredom. I wish I could do this on this audience right now. Meaning, and once they spotted that, they could change the subject or the teaching method based on that data. I think that's quite fascinating, because up until now we've talked about kind of content and how that experience means for the user. What we haven't talked about is how this technology could monitor the experience that end users having and get the teacher or the lecturer to make real-time decisions about which way to take the class based on metrics coming from the audience. So I just thought that was very interesting and kind of cool. So change is here, change is happening. Throw up a few potential barriers that we need to get around for immersive education to really become the driving force we hope it will be. Funding, obviously. Hardware, so distribution and ease of use for the classroom experience. Inequality, what we don't want it to be that basically rich kids, rich students, rich workers get to experience the very best in immersive education and everyone else just gets the old 2D variety. Lack of good content, so making sure there's good high quality content out there. Teacher and educator skepticism, making sure that they're taking on the journey with us. And then my last point is around systems thinking. There's a lot of great stuff out there. I just touched on some of it, but we have to use systems thinking to bring an ecosystem together so that content creators, hardware, classrooms, teachers can all work in a synergistic way with the funders of all of this to make sure that this is meaningful rather than just a bit of fun to distract us. But I do believe change is there. There's obstacles, and us at The Economist will keep going with our journey, and hopefully the market will develop with us. That's it from me. Cheers.
That was very good.